Hello guys and welcome to Dark Forge. On today's video I'm gonna share some of my techniques of how to create water effects using Liquitex, the medium gel, and Mod Podge, and what's actually the difference between them two. As well, I'm gonna use some UV resin and show you how we can easily create some waterfalls. So let's get on to it. So for this video I actually made this resin plank and we're gonna play with it with these two products. First, we're going to use the Mod Podge. The smell, I must say, is a bit strong, the smell for it. And let's just apply a bit of the Mod Podge. As you can see, he's quite liquid. It's more like water-based, this Mod Podge. And the thing that I don't like about it is these air bubbles, and as much as I try to brush them, they're gonna always appear. But I don't think that's gonna be that much of an issue as long as, let's say, on the water there are bubbles also once in a while, right? So it's not gonna be that much of an issue. But playing with resin so much, the bubbles are the worst nightmare. So that's the thing that I quite don't dig about the Mod Podge. So applying is really easy. You can actually create waves like this also, as well as another technique which I'm going to show you soon. On the other side, the Liquitex is actually more of a gel. It's thicker, and applying it, playing with it, is a bit more easier. You can actually create waves in any form that you want. Just put some more. But the thing with it, you cannot use it in thicker amounts. If you actually add more, it will not heal properly, and I'm going to show you immediately some finished products of this. So as you can see, playing with Liquitex is a bit more easier, is more fun for me. So between them two, I will definitely choose the Liquitex because I like it more. So as I said, I do have some finished products, let's say. And you can actually see here the difference. On this side we have the Mod Podge, and on this side we have the Liquitex. As you can see, the transparency is both the same. They both have really nice transparency, but the way it's creating with the Liquitex, they have more texture rather than the one with Mod Podge. Also, for you to see more the transparency, I made this one and I put some stones on the bottom, and you can actually see the difference better. Creating the waves with Liquitex is giving more texture. The waves are more harsh, let's call it. With Mod Podge, they are smoother. But as I said earlier, you cannot use the Liquitex in higher amounts. I mean, in thicker brushes. Because as you can see, these three lines here, they have a texture of a white, and I actually left it for around 4 or 5 days to heal, but they didn't. So using Liquitex is better to use in thinner layers, and for you to have the better results of it. And as I showed you earlier, playing with Mod Podge, creating the waves like this, it's actually gonna give you something like this, and I quite like about it. But as I said about the bubbles, even if it's healed, you can actually see some bubbles around, which I don't think that's such bad and bad looking basically, but I quite don't dig about it that much. But these waves, this texture, I quite like it, to be honest. And yes, you can actually use it, I don't know, maybe for rivers or something like this, like a calmer water, let's say. because creating a calmer water with the Mod Podge is more easy to make rather than the one with Liquitex. One more thing that you can actually play with the Mod Podge, you can actually blow with a straw. So let's add some Mod Podge on this. I just spread it nicely all over. Let's add some more. And by using a normal straw, you just need to blow in it, and it's going to create some really nice water effects. Something like this. And the final result is going to be just like in here. So it doesn't look bad at all. It's quite smooth, but of course some air bubbles. You're not gonna miss it with this Mod Podge. Alright, so these are some simple techniques that you can actually use to create water effects. Price-wise, Liquitex is double the price than the Mod Podge, but it's actually for me doing a better job because I can actually play with it a bit more, and it's easier for me to create the waves that I want to create. Right. Now let me show you some techniques of how you can actually create some waterfalls. For this one we're gonna need a polypropylene plank, and I think this is how you pronounce this. Anyway, you're gonna have it on your screen right now so you can actually know what I'm actually talking about. And this one, I'm highly advising it to use it for resin casting because it will not stick to the resin and it's easily peeling off of it, and you can actually use it the second time or the third or the fourth and so on. It can be reused a lot of times. For this one, we're gonna need this polypropylene plank, whatever, and some UV resin. I'm also gonna add some links down below of the products that I'm using in this video, so you can actually search it by yourself. This UV resin, you can actually buy 10 of them, including with a really nice UV lamp for around 20 pounds. I mean, in London. I'm not sure the prices in other countries. So we're just gonna pour in this silicone mold a bit, and of course we're gonna add some color. Just 2 sprinkles on it. I'm gonna mix it together nicely. And what we need to do now is just to apply on this plank. Spread it a bit. Don't mind the air bubbles. I mean, you can actually get rid of those bubbles by mixing a bit and using a heat gun on it. And what you need to do is just to keep this UV resin for a couple of seconds, usually around 30 seconds. It should be sufficient for the UV resin to heal, but I like to keep it around a minute on each of my builds. This UV resin is really good to actually use it on miniatures, or if you want to create a puddle, or let's say you create a spider and you want to sprinkle of the venom out of it, of one of his tooth or something. You can easily create it with the UV resin because it's healing so fast, and after it's healed you can actually go on the other stage of creating, let's say, waves if you do a waterfall, or what I'm doing right now. Yeah, okay, this should be sufficient. And what we need now is just to peel it off. So it's already hard, and all you have to do is just to peel it off here. There it is. And we're gonna use this small weird thingy that I made. But first, before applying the waterfall, we're gonna actually pour the riverbank as well as a bit on top, of course. And just leave the UV resin to do the job. I didn't start counting, but if you want to count how many seconds it actually takes to heal, you can actually do it. But just in case, this UV resin specifically has a time of 45 seconds of working. So every 45 seconds is turning off automatically. So you can actually keep count like this with this UV resin time thingy that she has. That should be sufficient anyway. So the resin is already hard. It's a bit hot, of course, because this is the healing process of any resin. It's getting harder. And now we're gonna apply this. First, we're gonna just trim it a bit. Take off the excess around it. We're also gonna need this side to be flat. I'm just gonna measure it here. So something like this. Okay, let's cut it like this. Gonna dent a bit the top. It has to be a bit more. All right. And by using the UV resin, we're just gonna stack it together here. And we're also going to apply on the base a bit. Alright, so that should be sufficient. Now all we have to do is just to make the waves using Liquitex or Mod Podge, but in my case I'm going to use Liquitex because, as I said, I like it better. And I'm just going to create some waves around. Something like this. And one more final touch before we actually leave this one to heal is by adding a bit of cotton wool at the base of the waterfall. So just a bit, so we can actually create that foamy splash that waterfall has. So I like to be as thicker as it can get. Okay, it's a bit sticky now. And all you have to do is just to apply it. Something like this. You arrange it a bit. And that should be it. All you have to do is just to leave it to dry now. But of course, I already have some products finished, which can be something like this, or something like this. With this one, I already added for this white, for the foamy waves, sorry, you can easily use some white silicone. And I'm gonna show you just in a minute. So by using just a bit of white silicone, you can create these waves. Something like this. And here you have it, a small scenery of a waterfall, which you can easily create as well, just by using UV resin. This small thing can take around, let's say, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and you can easily create something like this, or something like this. Alright guys, so this should be all for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that I was able to help you out with some information about the Mod Podge and the Liquitex. I'm gonna also drop a link down below of where you can get this one. You can easily get it from Amazon. I just bought myself from Amazon this ones. I'm gonna drop down the link and see yourself about what I'm talking about, as well as the UV resin, which is really cool to use. And that should be all for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like the video, and as well you can drop down a comment below of your thoughts about it. And if you'd like to see something more in the future videos, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to help you out. You can also follow my Instagram, and you can also message me, and we can talk about tips and tricks and everything that I use, and help each other, support each other, because this is the most important stuff, right? So I'll see you in the next video, guys. Until then, stay safe.